When it comes to ASTRAEOS, caves are located all over the map, but it can be hard to know all of them, which is why I present all 20 caves on ASTRAEOS. Coming at number 20, this can be found at 78.3 latitude and 15.8 longitude. Then here it is on the map. Now this can be found underwater, and this is known as Triple Entrance Cave, I believe. I don't really know a true name for this spot, but it is a pretty massive cave to work with. Now you have 3 entrances on here, so PvP it's not a good spot. But for PvE location, it does make for a pretty decent spot, as you just have a lot of room to work with. This video is sponsored by Mitra 9. Mitra 9 is a kava and kratom seltzer company which provides an alternative to alcohol. These drinks give you a high, but without the impairment. They have a ton of great flavors, my favorite being tropical. Simply go to mitra9.com and use my code Outcasts and you will get 25% off your entire order. If you're looking for a great alternative to coffee or just a way to get you going in the morning, Mitra is definitely the way to go. Now, back to the video. Coming at number 19, this can be found at 58.2 latitude and 24.9 longitude. There it is on the map. This can be found over here, and I forget the names of these little environment areas. But yeah, here's this cave. I guess it's like Crystal Cave or something. But this cave does have 2 entrances. If it had 1 entrance, it would make this pretty overpowered. But having 2 entrances, it does kind of downgrade this spot a little bit. But yeah, as you can see, you have a little like tiny water feature in here, as well as just a good amount of flat room. But there is a giant crystal in the middle, which does kind of take away from, you know, your base spot. But yeah, other than that, it's not a terrible cave. Just having 2 entrances does make it kind of weak. Coming at number 18, this can be found at 16.1 latitude and 34.7 longitude. Then there it is on the map. Now this can be found over here, and simply just look for these 2 couple entrances over here on this giant, tall, just bulky looking rock. Now this cave is kind of, I wouldn't really fully call it a cave, but I'm just going to toss it in here because it is technically a cave. But this is just built for like PvE, because on PvP there's just no way that you're going to be able to live in here. Coming at number 17, this can be found at 28.8 latitude and 9.2 longitude. This is known as, I guess, the Waterfall Cave, or like the Ruined Cave. It's basically just an artifact cave with some minotaurs in here that you got to figure out how to kill. That's always a pain. Anyways, here's your entrance. Decently sized entrance too. I mean, it's got a little bit of size to it. But yeah, in here is your first room. Nothing too crazy. Got a little bit of a bridge, as well as just a couple of little ruins. And then back in here, it opens up into a bigger sized cave. Now you do have some area to build in here, but I wouldn't recommend living in here just because these caves are the artifact caves. It's going to constantly be people trying to get in here to get those artifacts, or you can just kind of save them and keep them from people, but it's totally up to you. Coming at number 16, this can be found at 24.9 latitude and 15.8 longitude, and this is known as Clam Cave, I believe. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that this is Clam Cave. Now, as you can see, it has a waterfall covering the entrance, and this does make for a pretty decent base spot. The only downside is that having the water in here does kind of weaken it a little bit for PvP, but overall, it still isn't a bad spot. You have a lot of room to work with and a pretty decently sized entrance to try and defend. Coming at number 15, this can be found at 80.6 latitude and 30.4 longitude, and this can be found on one of the main islands just kind of in the middle of the ocean. Now this cave has 2 entrances again, and for PvP this is not a good spot to live in, but for PvE it is kind of a cool little like base that you can build on, that you can kind of have like a dock hanging out of or something, just to like not park your ships. Do you guys know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a cool little secluded spot, and also has a little bit of some obsidian in here, so yeah, makes for kind of an interesting spot. Coming at number 14, this can be found at 37.7 latitude and 17.3 longitude. And this can be found over in your main calm region, just by that AWP. Just look for the big AWP, it's pretty much impossible to miss. But yeah, here's your cave. This is more of a PvE spot. PvP, it's just not going to work. Got 2 different entrances on here, as well as just is really bulky, and you can't really just defend this spot. But PvE would make for a really, really cool spot if you could do some kind of like roleplay build or something in here. But yeah, not a bad location. Coming at number 13, this can be found at 57.5 latitude and 14.9 longitude. Then here it is on the map. Now this can be found over here on the beach. It's pretty much on a spawn axis, so PvP is already out of the window there. But you do have a little bit of room to work with in here, and a couple glitches as well with the terrain. But yeah, it's just a nice little cave. Coming at number 12, this can be found at 12.4 latitude and 45.7 longitude. Then here it is on the map. Now this can be found over in the swamp, and this is known as the Wyvern Scar. The Wyvern Scar is kind of an odd spot to live in if you really want to, but it is possible on this map. They don't really stop you from living in here, so you technically can. Yeah, a little epilepsy warning here for anybody that has it, because of how the terrain acts with the shaders and stuff that I have on. with settings. So again, sorry about that, can't really control that. But yeah, anyways, down in here you have a little bit of a waterfall as well as just a lot of room, and you do have a nice little underwater area. Again, I would not recommend living in here because it's going to be an absolute pain, and also I'm not going to show you the entire cave, it's just absolutely massive. Coming at number 11, this can be found at 7.8 latitude and 15.0 longitude, and then here it is on the map. Now this is a really amazing PvP spot. The only thing that downgrades this spot a little bit is having two different entrances. That really just does absolutely nerf this location. But yeah, as you can see, even with the two entrances, you can still put a little turret wall here, try and defend it, but you do have a pretty insane amount of room back in here. If you can cover off that little water area, which it doesn't lead anywhere either, it's just a flat little lake, but you can cover that off, it makes for a pretty amazing base spot. Coming at number 10, this can be found at 24.4 latitude and 23.9 longitude. Then here it is on the map. Now this is one of the underwater caves, and as you can see with this entrance, it is pretty big. Now this is also another artifact cave. Again, I forget which artifact it is. You guys will have to figure it out. I will be making a separate artifact video too in the future. So yeah, just stay tuned for that. But yeah, this cave is nothing too crazy. It's just a nice little water area with some area just to breathe. Other than that, it's kind of a meh cave. Coming at number 9, this can be found at 4.4 latitude and 16.5 longitude. Then there it is on the map. Now this can be found over here in the darker region. I forget the names again. I'm still learning them, so just give me time. I'll figure them out. But yeah, here's your cave entrance. You have a lot of room to work with in here. Only downside is this cave has 3 entrances. Yes, 3 entrances. It's an absolute pain. So yeah, for PvP side of things, if you want to have an absolute pain trying to defend it, go for it. But I would not recommend it. You have an entrance there, an entrance underwater, and then a third entrance over here. It just doesn't make sense. This should really only have 1 or 2, but having 3 does just downgrade it, so this really only works on PvE. Coming at number 8, this can be found at 22.6 latitude and 34.2 longitude, and then here it is on the map. Now this can be found over here in the, I keep forgetting these names, but man, yeah, here's your cave entrance anyways. Now this one is actually pretty good. It only has 1 main entrance and a lot of room to build with. So if you can defend this main area, which having a fork like right here, so you know, going 2 different ways, does kind of struggle, because trying to figure out how to defend that is just kind of a bit of a pain. But you do have this giant, just absolutely massive room to build in, making for a pretty, honestly, pretty overpowered spot if you can learn how to defend it right. Coming at number 7, this can be found at 67.6 latitude and 63.0 longitude. And this can be found over on the Volcano Island. Now this is the main cave on the island. It's pretty much just, I think, the only cave. I was only really able to find one out here. There could be 2, but yeah, here's this cave. Now I sped it up quite a bit. Just a lot of walking in here. It's kind of like the Island Ascension cave almost, just kind of this map's version. So yeah, it just kind of just keeps going on and on and on. I'm not going to show you guys too much of that. But down here, it is another artifact cave. So as you can see, just keep going down more and more and more. There's that first room. Can't really do anything too crazy with that, but you can't really build in here. Like you can, but there's certain areas where you can't build. I would not recommend it. But yeah, if you're looking for that artifact, here's your cave. Kind of a bit of a pain. And then here is the area that you have to get down to. Don't worry, because there is a walkway down in here, so you're not going to have to just like fall in here. Just follow that road all the way down. And then I'm not sure if there's any like little mini bosses in here or something free to fight. I couldn't get anything to spawn, but yeah, your artifact should be right there in the middle. Now coming at number 6, this can be found at 62.8 latitude and 43.2 longitude, and this can be found underwater. Now this spot is pretty overpowered, except another issue with it is that it's kind of not overpowered. With that entrance being so big, it's just an absolute pain to just figure out how to defend that. But if the entrances were smaller, man, this thing would be just absolutely insane. Still a pretty cool base spot, so if you're looking for a nice little underwater area for you to live, I would highly recommend it. Has tons of rooms as well as these nice little ruins in the middle, so you can kind of build a little base on there. Totally up to you. Does make for a pretty awesome spot though. Coming at number 5, this can be found at 74.7 latitude and 5.5 longitude. Now this can be found underwater again, and it's going to be found over in the new trench that they added. Simply look for those 2 giant statues with a big door. Pretty much impossible to miss that. Then it's kind of over here on the side of the map. Now this reminds me of Mushroom Cave on Ragnarok, and you'll see what I mean by that here in a second. It looks pretty much identical to it, a little bit different, built a little bit differently. But yeah, this is a pretty nice cave, PvP and for PvE. It's going to be a pain to defend on PvP, but you have an infinite amount of room in here to work with. Coming at number 4, this can be found at 9.6 latitude and 16.2 longitude, and this can be found over here in the darker region. Look for that giant statue and then a waterfall right here with a little bridge kind of going over it, and you'll find this spot. This spot is pretty much just invisible to the eye, so you can only really find this spot if you come across it by accident. This is the most overpowered cave for PvP on this map by far. Might be like second best, but in my honest opinion, it's the most overpowered. You have a long entrance, meaning you can spam turrets back here. It's going to be a pain just to try and figure out how to raid that, as well as this back room. Back room is absolutely massive. You have a ton of room. You can easily fit everything that you're ever going to need in here, and you can do breeding, have 4 or 5 different layers of stuff in here. I'm definitely going to be building a full base design on here, so definitely stay tuned for that. Coming at number 3, this can be found at 23.2 latitude and 47.1 longitude. Then here it is on the map. Now this can be found over here. Simply look for that bridge, and then you can find this cave entrance directly next to that waterfall as well. And I guess this is another kind of like crystal cave. It might be known as B cave though too. I get them mixed up. But yeah, this cave has 2 entrances, which does kind of downgrade it for PvP. But for PvE, it is still a nice little cave for you to live in. Some nice little features around the cave, like hanging moss. Lots of flatland as well. But yeah, nothing too crazy to really say about this one. Just another cave. Coming at number 2, this can be found at 72.9 latitude and 11.6 longitude. Then here it is on the map. This can be found over in the new region as well. And this is kind of like a little passageway, but it is wide enough to really... you can live in here. Don't get me wrong. You're going to have to defend both sides, but with the 100 turret limit being, only so big, you can easily do that. Now you do have a lot of room in here, so yes, technically it being a passageway, yeah, it's kind of iffy, but you have a lot of room to work with, so it's completely up to you if you want to live in here or not. I probably wouldn't, but it would be kind of a cool spot on a PvP server. And finally, coming at number 1, this can be found at 48.7 latitude and 49.8 longitude. Now, and then there it is on the map. Now this can be found underwater again, and this is another artifact cave. This is a brand new cave to the map as well. Now, I'm just going to be honest, this isn't like a crazy cave compared to some of the others. They're not in order from best to worst. This is just one of the biggest caves on here. Again, epilepsy warning. Don't know why it keeps doing that. But yeah, absolutely massive cave. Tons of room to work with in here. But it's not the best on this list. So again, I could have put them in order, but I want to just be kind of just fair and honest about everything, because they're all kind of even. I'm not going to lie. There are some that are really good, some that are really bad, but the majority of the caves are about the same. So yeah, that's kind of why I just put them in here. But anyways, here's a little sped up little area. Here is some ruins down here. You have some room to build in here if you really want to. And then down here you have your little area with the artifact, and it's kind of like a little maze cave back here. So yeah, as you can see, you go up these stairs and then you're entered into this little room right here. Now, it's a little bit tricky to figure this little thing out. I'm going to make a separate video on how to do all this, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a like if you're new, and hit that subscribe button, and thanks for watching.